Hey guys, so today we're going to be looking at headers and paragraphs in HTML, and while we're not really using paragraphs in our project so much, I thought to cover it anyways. So here we go.
Okay, so today we're going to be looking at the different types of headings and paragraphs that we have in HTML. So again, referring to W3 Schools. So headings are, or basically like this is what we've been looking at last. So this is a heading, this is a paragraph. So basically headings are like titles or subtitles that you want to display on the web page. So that's basically like the main heading or like the topic. It's anything like a normal title. So then there's different types of headings like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and they keep decreasing in size. So they're basically defined with H1 to H6 tags. So H1 means H1 like header 1, H6 is header 6. And H1 defines the most important heading, and H6 defines the least important heading. So it could be like a web page like where you have a title, if it's like a recipe, then inside that you have like the name of the recipe, inside which you have so on, like basically like different headings like what material do you need. That's one heading. The steps, that's another heading of the same size. Then inside the steps, and so on. So basically it's how it keeps decreasing, like a subheading. But H1 is the largest and most important heading basically. And this is what they have. So if we're just going to copy paste this to see. So then if we just do it down here, so I can just take this away and here. So these are all the headings that we have. And here, as you can see, so it keeps decreasing in size. If I just zoom in a bit. So it's the main heading, then there's like heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, heading 5, heading 6. So all of the 6 headings. And headings like, so here why are headings important? So search engines use headings to index the structure, so you can basically use it for indexing. Like in a textbook, you have a heading, you have a main heading, then you have a topic, then they describe the topic. So it's like a textbook where you can like structure the content of your web pages. Then people often look at the heading to see what exactly they're looking for in a web page or an article. And then usually H1 should be used for main headings. Like you won't use H6 for a main heading or an H5 for a main heading and then use H1 later, because that you can't really figure out and there's no structure. So then you have a page title, section titles, subsections, and so on. So this is the example they've taken, the travel guide, then Europe, France, Italy, then Asia, then you have India, Thailand. So as you see, this is the main heading. Then Europe and Asia are basically the name of the continents, and then inside that we have the countries, which then they get more accurate as you go, as it becomes smaller. So then it's just showing like tips and notes on how to use that here. Then we have paragraphs too. So this is basically like when you use the P element, and in paragraphs there's not really any kind of P1, P2 or anything like that. A paragraph is just a paragraph. So a paragraph always starts on a new line, and the browsers automatically add some white space or a margin before and after a paragraph. So if we take the two paragraphs and paste it, now if we go here, it's automatically refresh itself. So you see that even though the headings are like, even though heading 6 is much smaller than the paragraph text, you can still tell it's a heading because it's like bold and the font is a bit different. And meanwhile, here you can see that it leaves like a margin by itself, as I said earlier. So this is basically talking about like the HTML display, but yeah, so this paragraph contains a lot of lines in the source code, but the browser ignores it. So if we look at this example, so then you can see that we go to the browser. Then you can see the paragraph contains a lot of lines in the code, but in the source code, but the browser ignores it. So instead of printing it all like this, it's printing it all in one line. So basically, while it's within the same tag, is just going to try and give it out in one line. And then, so that's basically what a paragraph is. Then there's like horizontal rules that HR defines a thematic break and is like a horizontal rule. Then there's line breaks. And a poem, for example, will display on a single line. And for that, there's a solution. So like you use a pre-element, which lets you choose the form, like the pre-formatted text and so on. And you can basically look at this later, but we're just using W3 Schools for reference. So that's basically what a heading is. So if we look at our gymnasium project, we have not used paragraph anywhere in the whole thing, but we have a heading over here, for example, find gymnasium. So that's where we're using H, like the H element.